Welcome to this week's Whiskey Burn, keeping on the subject of last week, which was budget whiskies for Christmas. This is budget presents, or maybe just a little bit more expensive, but they're still probably within your budget for someone, or whether you're looking at someone to get you something. So, here we go. It's Christmas. Might as well get the Christmas festivities. Got my little hat back, lost that. Got it back, all good. So I have here an array of examples. Apart from obviously buying someone a bottle of whiskey, this can really give you that little bit of a sort of edge, bit of a, thoughtfulness about the present. So here are some gift ideas that you could buy someone who really likes whiskey. Or, if you really like whiskey and think, I want to try something different, you could get one of these. Something that isn't here, because it's quite big, is a scratch map. My one's of Scotland, so you scratch it off once you've had it, and then you can look at what left you have in the Scottish regions. So there's that. But going with what I've got here, what about an ice bucket? My neighbour gave me this because they were sick and tired of seeing me use a glass for ice, so a nice ice bucket. Obviously the Glenfern glass, bit dirty that one. The Glenfern glass, these are all cheap and online. You can put in whiskey present ideas into any search engine on the internet and you will come up with tons and tons of stuff. But have a think about what you want to get. Do they like collecting badges? Why not get a certain pin badge for them? I picked these up. I've got a few in the cupboard, but I thought I'd just show you one. At a whiskey tasting festival. What about getting someone some tickets to a whiskey tasting event? They're not that expensive. And if you get in early enough, you get the early bird reduction. So there's another idea. Miniatures, always easy. I've got quite a few of these knocking around. I just picked up a couple. I have the Indri Indian malt whiskey there. I'm going to have to try that one. And the Glenfarclas 10. Very nice. In fact, whilst I'm rabbiting on about gifts and gift ideas, I'll pop this in here. And while I'm doing that, make sure you like, subscribe, give me a comment. What do you think of the videos? What would you like to see more of in 2026? Still to come, I have my top 3 whiskies of 2025. But anyway, moving on. This was a lovely present I got for my birthday. Now, this one is from the Whisky Exchange. Facing the wrong way. The Whisky Exchange. However, they are available from everywhere. It basically gives you a little brief history of whiskey, but then it has all these pages where you write your notes. So, for example, the last one I put in here was, in fact I won't go with that one because I'm coming to that one. Let's see what we've got. Green spot. You write down all your comments and you mark it out of 25 for each segment. So a maximum 100. Green spot got 83. There you go. What about that? Little book, tasting notebook. Great idea, quite cheap. But give someone who wants to get into whiskey something that they can write down. Love these. Little smoking kit. There are tons of these on the market, but this one's really quite nice. I'm not trying to sell you this one. And they come with lots of different variable sort of tastes of wood. It does take a little while to get used to how to do it properly, but once you got going, it's great. Completely change your whiskey. So that's a good idea. I think that's quite a nice gift for someone who's sort of into whiskey or getting into whiskey. Basically, anyone who likes whiskey is where I'm going with that. Smoker, great idea. This I got for a big birthday. It's a whiskey tasting set with some information, and you get lots of little bottles. I'm missing one there because it was a 40-year-old grain whiskey, which I've had. So, but you see the idea. Little box set there. And you can get box sets for all sorts of regions, not just Scottish regions, but you can get Irish ones and around the world ones. So quite a nice little idea for that. You could get some artwork. If they have a little office space or a bit of a den space that is theirs, you might want to get them some artwork. This is quite funky. You put your bottle in upside down, which I will be doing probably over Christmas. And there's a little tap, and then you just open the tap and out pours your whiskey. Quite simple, really. This is pretty cool. A whiskey rocks set. So you've got your whiskey rocks here, which you put in a little bag. They go into the freezer. You bring them out and you put them in your drink, your whiskey. Doesn't liquidate it, but it cools it. Because obviously it's not ice, it won't melt, therefore it won't water your whiskey down. You can get nice little boxes here, a few little gadgets here. Not bad that. Again, tons of these online. Nice little wooden case. I got this as a gift as well, so that's quite nice. Tons of books. This is a very good book. It's the Whiskypedia. Basically, it has all the Scottish whiskies in there, and it has this whiskey wheel, which when you're first starting out, it's really, really useful. How much was this? This book was £16. Pretty sure I got it on offer. And it has this, I think this is great. It's a little chart in the back of the book that sort of points to, if you like, say, delicate and a light whiskey, you might want to go for the Glen Grant or possibly the Knock-and-Do 12. But if you like smoky and rich, you'd be after Lagavulin 16 perhaps. So there you go. Or medicinal, dry, smoky, peppery ones. You've got Lefroy, Brewer Cladic, and you've got the Ardbeg up there. So books, tons and tons of books out there. But this one is a very good one. And I know I mentioned earlier about getting a bottle of whiskey. But what about getting something really random? Like this, for example. Now, I'm not trying to sell you this. I found it really random. It's called Harbour. It came like this. Harbour Darkness. It's 41.1%. 70 litre bottle. Black Irish whiskey. And all it says is, we effing love Guinness, so we made a whiskey to go with it. Something completely random. Or if you know they're into whiskey, why not get them something from a different region or a different country? Because there are tons out there. For example, you could get Cairo or Cryo. I always forget how you pronounce it. But it's a rye whiskey from Finland. Why not go for something like that? Completely different. Open up someone's taste buds and tasting by throwing out something completely different. So here we go. Christmas gifts. You could also look at all these decanters. You can get them. You can get glassware that you can etch in Happy Christmas. You got a Glenfarclas 10, for example, a miniature. There are so many different things, but these are just a couple of ideas for someone who's getting into whiskey. Basically, anyone who likes whiskey. And you think, oh, I know what'll help them. A smoker or a really nice box set or some whiskey rocks that you can put in the freezer in a nice little pack there. A book, you know, tons of things. Badges. There's lots and lots. Or even, I forgot it, hip flask. Easy, you can get those engraved. Oh, it's very sweet. Oh, that's good. Oh, it's very sweet, caramelly. But there's tons of stuff. And remember, go for a budget. Look, go, right, I'm going to spend £20 on someone. You can buy top of the range ones for probably 200 quid. But if your range is £20, you can buy £20 ones. As long as you get the bit of wood and you get to burn it and it smokes in, why do you need £200? Unless you press a button and it does it all fancy for you. It's not half the fun. Tasting book, I think is great. I don't use it half as much as I should, but I do reference back to it when I talk to a friend about a certain whiskey. So there you go. I'm going to waffle on for ages about whiskey gifts and presents. But the most expensive one here, I guess, would be this whiskey tasting box back here. Miniatures cost less than a tenner to get a couple. If you're not sure or someone's getting into whiskey, this does vary in price. I have seen ridiculous £200 down to probably 15. Whiskey tasting books, cheap all over the place. You can get them individually, with someone's name on them basically. But yeah, books ready everywhere. So I think that's it for this week. Christmas presents and gift ideas. I think there's some very good stuff there. You know, don't forget decanter artwork. You got this little funky thing. But that's it for this week. My Glenfarclas 12. I can't not have a whiskey. So sweet. Ooh. That's it for this week. Make sure you like, subscribe, and send me a comment. I love hearing from you guys. But that's it. Enjoy your whiskey. And I hope I've given you some kind of idea for a gift or gift that you could potentially ask for. Well, there we go. That's it. Enjoy your whiskey. Sláinte.